Morning, everyone. I trust you are well. Apologies, I wasn't able to make it yesterday. I had the booster, thank God, the flu jab, and everything else. I'm feeling much better for it. Good morning, Clarice, Rachel, and Mervyn. So, the question I want to firstly, today's learning is dedicated in memory of all those that we are saying Kaddish for and of Yortzeit today. We wish the families long life. So, I want to ask you all a little question. What would you do if you felt that your life was in danger? What would you do? What would be the act that you would choose to do if you were staring death in the eye? It's an interesting question. So I want to deal with that a bit. But first, let's come to the parsha. So the story we're all familiar with: Jacob and Esau, Yaakov and Esau, and we mentioned about the fact that they, even within their mother's womb, they were already struggling and fighting to get out, squabbling amongst each other, the rivalry for the worlds, for the spiritual future. Anyways, so they grew up, and we know that it was on the day of Abraham's passing. So what happened? We all know at a shiva, you have to make a meal of consolation, the round bagel, the round roll, right? And in those days, they used to make soup with lentils. Lentils are round. Something that's round represents the cycle of life, and therefore that's what they used to do. Anyways, so imagine the scene. Yaakov, the good boy, the good grandson, is making for his father, who's sitting shiva, Isaac, is making him a pottage of red lentil soup, and Esau comes in from the field, from hunting, from pillaging, and he hears, that his grandfather's died. Asks Yaakov, what is he doing? He's usually learning and studying, and now he seems to be a chef in the kitchen. And he says, I'm making a soup, I'm making this pottage, father sitting shiva. And he says to him, well, listen, I'm starving, I've just come in. Can I, give it to me? Give me this red stuff. I don't even know what it is, just give it to me. And Yaakov says to him at that moment, fine, I'll give it to you, but on one condition, and that is that you're going to sell for the value of the soup, you're going to sell me the birthright. Now, on the one hand, it seems exceptionally mercenary by Yaakov. After all, Jacob is, his brother's starving, and his father's sitting shiva, and he's going to take this soup and he's going to, use his leverage to basically blackmail Esau, who's starving, that he should pass the birthright to him for a bowl of soup. And it seems devaluing, right? A birthright you're going to sell for a bowl of soup. So the answer is that they represented, Jacob and Esau represented different worlds.
Yaakov's world was a world of spirituality, a world of elevating, infusing this world with sanctity. And Esau was all about the here and now. It's about now, what I can get out of it, how I can satiate my needs, my wants, self-gratification. That was the word of the day back then, and it hasn't changed much, has it, friends? Anyways, so long story short, Esau sees life. His grandfather's dead, right? His grandfather's passed away. His father's sitting shiva, and all he sees life is one long path to death. There is no future, right? So therefore, I have to make the most of the here and now. Whereas for Yaakov saw everything in this world as having inherent value, because you're able to build for eternity a spiritual world through living this world in the way it was intended. And therefore, for Esau, it was just a red stuff. It was just about hunger. And therefore he said, listen, I'm going to die sooner or later. Just give me that soup. And I don't need this birthright, the spiritual, to be the spiritual heir, a mantle of leadership. I don't want it. I'm interested in what I can get out of life now, not what I can pass on to the next generation. There was an amazing story. I don't know if have you ever been on a plane that's about to crash? Susan. So I have to tell you I have. It was a British Airways flight. And we were flying after Pesach, from Israel to London. And we didn't quite make it that far. We make it as far as Greece. and part of the wing fell off, and then the plane had to make emergency landing. Now, there is a story about a plane that had hydraulics issues, and they announced over the tannoy, ladies and gentlemen, please fasten your seatbelts. We've got problems with the plane. We may have to make an emergency landing. And basically, everyone went into hysteria. But what was striking was the different responses and reactions to the people on the plane to facing potential death, to the fact that they knew that their lives were in danger. So there was a rabbi, I think it was Rav Gifter, who was on the plane, and he had a student next to him, and the student calmly said to him, Rosh Hashiva, Rabbi, can you tell me which Psalms I should say that we should, that we should be safe, that we should be rescued? Obviously it's a time, an opportune time to pray to God. That was one response. Further down, there was an obnoxious man on this plane, and in his Texan accent, he screamed out for the stewardess, come over here. I need a scotch. I want a Blue Label scotch on the rocks, and I need it right now. Who knows what's going to be tomorrow? At least I should die with having had a scotch. Two diametrically opposed responses. One is to recognize that everything, we're in God's hands, and everything here is ultimately an opportunity for growth, for elevation, for spirituality, for faith. By contrast, you have this man who, like Esau, was only interested in the here and now, and therefore, it was about eat, drink, and be merry, hedonistic existence, and life doesn't have any significance and meaning without that. So it's the two approaches of Jacob and Esau reflect very much, I think, our existence and the secular world's existence, which is very much about how much I can get out of life, what I can gain, right? It's all about the here and now, not about an investing or giving for the future, to link two worlds, to elevate this world and bring it to its completion and fruition. So please God, the message is clear from the blessings, from the selling of the birthright. Esau spurned the birthright for what? For something that was transient, something that was passing, something that he needed then and there, but afterwards it was absolutely insignificant, a bowl of soup. Whereas Jacob was able to see things for the long term, for the future. He was a visionary. So I hope that we will also be able to follow in the footsteps of Jacob, and please God, we should be able to make sure that we live true, full lives, but for the long term, not the short. Wishing everyone well, keep safe, keep well, look after yourselves, and please God, we'll be back tomorrow. All the very best. Take care.